Sha'Carri Richardson enjoys strong start in 100 at Athletics Worlds. Tokyo. Sha'Carri Richardson picked up speed down the stretch and turned her first run in Tokyo into a season best. A first-place finish in 11.03 seconds in her opening heat of the 100 meters at the World Championship Saturday. For Richardson, it was a successful debut at Japan National Stadium. For others, a return to Tokyo that felt nothing like the last trip during the COVID-tainted Olympics in 2021 that had athletes performing in front of empty seats. This time, a full stadium. "They're really excited to be here," said American long jumper Tara Davis-Woodhall, the reigning Olympic champion who needed only one jump to move on to Sunday's medal round. "They love life out here, and I'm just so happy I was able to be out here with a crowd." In the 100, everyone who was expected to make it through the first round did without a problem. That included Olympic champion Julian Alfred, 10.93 seconds. 38-year-old five-time world champ Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, 11.09. Her Jamaican teammates Tina Clayton, 11.01, and Shericka Jackson, 11.04, and America's fastest sprinter of 2025 and the favorite to win the 100 on Sunday, Melissa Jefferson Wooden, 10.99. "I already hold myself to a really high standard and expectation," Jefferson Wooden said when asked if the favorite's role bothered her. "As far as the pressures of the outside world, I don't really feel it as much. I keep the main thing, which is go out there and focus on Melissa." Canada's Audrey Leduc, who holds the national record in the 100, also advanced with her time of 11.26. Richardson, who missed the 2021 Olympics because of a positive marijuana test, came in as the biggest question mark after a season slowed by injuries that didn't include a run under 11 seconds. Her start, never a strong point, wasn't good in this one. She was in the back half of the field with about 40 meters left. But she won the World Championship 2 years ago in Budapest with a late drive out in lane 9, and there were signs that it's still there. She raced hard to the line to beat Jackson, the silver medalist in 2022 and 23, by .01. The 11.03 was the fifth fastest time of the night. In the men's heats, Canada's Andre de Grasse, 10.16, Jerome Blake, 10.05, and Eli Ajibi, 10.19, all advanced to the semis. In the heart of Budapest, under a sky beginning to drip with twilight, the world leaned in. The stadium lights buzzed softly overhead, and the murmurs of anticipation rippled through the seats like wind across wheat fields. The women's 100 meters had yet to begin, but one name, whispered with reverence and curiosity alike, clung to the air: Sha'Carri Richardson. Clad in a blazing USA kit, her hair streaked with fire gold tips and confidence laced through every sinew, she took to the blocks, not as a contender hoping to prove herself, but as a storm ready to break. From silence to thunder, Sha'Carri's presence on the track is never quiet. She doesn't tiptoe into greatness. She arrives unapologetically, storming into headlines with the same velocity that propels her down the track. The gun hadn't fired yet, but in many ways, she had already won, winning the right to stand there again, on the world stage, after years of public scrutiny, personal trials, and a comeback story that reads like a script Hollywood would call too dramatic. The Sha'Carri who knelt at the start line at the 2025 World Athletics Championships wasn't the same 21-year-old phenom who had stunned the world in 2021, only to face a crushing disqualification due to a cannabis-related suspension. Nor was she the volatile figure of 2022, embattled by media feuds and inconsistent performances. This was a woman sharpened by adversity, a flame not extinguished by wind, but shaped by it. The start heard round the world. When the gun finally cracked across the Hungarian evening, it was not the loudest sound. That came a split second later, the explosion of Sha'Carri Richardson off the blocks. What she did in those first few strides was not merely acceleration, it was defiance, a rebellion against physics, past mistakes, and every doubter who had written her off. Her cadence was smooth, merciless. There was no waste, no hesitation. As her legs churned and her arms sliced the air, the lanes to her left and right began to blur. By the 60-meter mark, she had already asserted control, not just over the race, but over the narrative. When she crossed the line, ahead of season champions and new hopefuls. The clock flashed 10.92 seconds. It wasn't her personal best, but it didn't need to be. It was a statement. I'm here. I'm ready. And this is only the beginning. Grace in motion. Track and field purists love to talk about form, about turnover rate, hip alignment, stride length. But what Sha'Carri displayed that evening defied biomechanical jargon. It was poetry, rhythm and rage, precision and passion in one. The cameras zoomed in as she stood up from her run, chest rising and falling like a piston. She didn't roar or flex or drop to her knees in prayer. She smiled, a smile not of surprise, but recognition. She knew this was coming. She had felt it in the quiet hours of morning workouts, in the lonely repetitions, in the silence when no one was watching. This wasn't a lucky break. It was deserved. From flame to phoenix. In the post-race interview zone, reporters jostled for space, their microphones extending like metal flowers toward her. Sha'Carri stepped into the glare, without flinching. "Yes, I feel good," she said, sweat still beading on her brow. "But this ain't the final. This is the beginning." There was no arrogance in her voice, only a calm surety. She had run fast before, but now, she ran with direction. Behind her, the stadium lights flickered. Around her, rivals whispered among themselves, recalibrating their expectations. Some had doubted she could even make it this far. She had done more than make it. She had owned it. A symbol reclaimed. Sha'Carri has always been more than an athlete. She's been a symbol of rebellion, resilience, controversy, culture. In an era where image is curated and words are measured, she dares to be real. Her authenticity is polarizing, but it's also magnetic. And that's what makes her strong start at the World so meaningful. This wasn't just about sprinting. It was about restoring power to a name many had tried to bury. It was about reclaiming space in a sport that has too often demanded conformity over personality. In those 10.92 seconds, she ran not just for a medal, but for every young girl with tattoos, braids, and bold dreams who was told to sit down and blend in. The race ahead. The heats were just the appetizer. The semifinals and finals loomed large, with the best sprinters in the world sharpening their spikes. Jamaica's Elaine Thompson-Herah, Shericka Jackson, and rising talents from Ivory Coast and Britain all lurked in the shadows, ready to pounce. But Sha'Carri didn't seem bothered. When asked who she feared in the next rounds, she smiled again,